I've started going to the gym again. I've started getting back in the gym, started working out, started running a little bit. And I told somebody about this group, or about what I was doing, so they added me to a group. And some of you probably in this group, because you've probably seen my post. If you're in it, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. But what it is kind of like from what I understand, it's like an accountability group, and everybody posts kind of what they do each day, and it's the goal is like to be active every day in the month of November. And I got added to it, and I'm like, I don't think they realized what they did by adding me to this. But every day I throw something in there of pretty much what I did, along with a few other little extra things. And I don't know, I've heard a few people are getting a kick out of it. So if you can only imagine what the next 28 days or 27 days of it are going to be like. I haven't made my post today, so we'll see how this goes. I might end up having to run from some of y'all after this message. So that may be in it. But I realized this is when I started seeing what I was doing in my life. I was like, man, I would go to the gym for a little while, and then I wouldn't, and then I would start going back, and it was just a big thing. Like when I lived in Virginia before I came up here, I was going to college. Like we automatically had to pay for this big 5-star gym, had more stuff in it than I knew what to do with, and I would go and I would get big on it for a little while. I would go and I'd be going like every other day of the week, and like I saw some improvement. I was getting stronger because I cannot let one of my youth kids whoop me in an arm wrestling match. And I just noticed that I would be back and forth with the gym. And there would be times I'd be so good at it. I'd be like, man, I'd be disciplined. I would have it going. I'd be going every other day of the week, and I could see improvement in my life. But then all of a sudden something would come up. I remember what did it when I was in college. I was going every other day for I don't remember how long. And then all of a sudden I had a big weekend trip planned. I had to go speak somewhere, and where I was going didn't have a gym. And literally it took about 4 days for me to get off of my track. So why I say that is I have noticed that in this season that our priorities are a huge and just important part of our life, that if we don't have our priorities in line, then we're going to have problems. Because when I didn't make the gym a priority, when it was just something I did, it wasn't a important thing in my life. Because here, I want you to understand what a priority really is. A priority becomes a priority when I add value to it, or when I realize the value in it. Because maybe there's been something in your life that it was never really a priority until you realized how important it was, how big in your life, how big of a role this thing played in your life. You never realized it. Because here is the simplest way that I know to explain priorities. It's pretty simple, really. Priorities are simply a list of your values. Your priorities, how you prioritize things, is in the order of which you find value in something. So when you look at something, you say, well, what are my priorities? You say, well, how much do I value this, and how much do I value that? Because your priorities are things that you value. I was really focused on this because, like I said, I'm in this season of my life where I'm trying to really push forward, where I'm really trying to make the gym something in my life that I care about. And like I said, I'm cheap and I'm paying for it, so I'm going to get my money's worth out of them people, I tell you what. But when our priorities are out of line, we see that our life that things don't really line up in our life. Because when our priorities are off, when our priorities are kind of here and there, and we don't really know what some of us don't know what our priorities are. I've been in points in my life where, okay, one day this is my priority, and then this is my priority, and then this is my priority. I don't know where my priorities were at. So I've come to this realization of, man, I've got to know what my priorities are in order for my life to start shaping up into what God has called it to be. So here's the thing. I'm guilty, as many of us are, that I can say, man, here are my priorities. My priorities are this, this, and this. And I'm very guilty about it. Or let me rephrase that, I used to be. I'm working on it. I still have my slip-ups. But I can say my priorities are this, this, and this. But in all reality, I want you to understand this. I want you to get this, because this is going to be one of the first, our first sub-point to go with it. My priorities are lived, not spoken. See, I meet with a mentor every single week. It's like clockwork. On weeks I don't meet, we talk during the week, in which we still talk during the week anyway. But he is very, very stern about holding me accountable to some things. And it hurts my feelings sometimes. We'll leave there and I'll be like, man, he kicked my butt that entire meeting. But in reality, all he's doing, because he'll say, man, last week you told me this. And now this week you're telling me this. What are you doing? I'm like, easy, dude, chill. But he tells me these things because he says, look, last week you told me this was the most important thing in your life. And now this week you're telling me this is the most important thing in your life. Where are you at? What are you doing? And why are you doing it? I'm like, I don't know. It just sounded good. I mean, but in honest reality, because when we see, I can say whatever in the world I want to are my priorities. I can say, man, of course, I go to church. God is my top priority, dude. Like, without a doubt. And then family, and then the gym, and then I can say that as much as I want to. As many times as I want to say, I can say, I could say that, hey, the gym is number 2 behind God in my life. But if I don't ever go to the gym, apparently it's not a priority in my life, right? If I'm not living what I say my priorities are, they're not really a priority in my life. I've thought about this over and over and over again, is that the scripture that I found in that is, you're going to hear me talk about this more times today than you probably care to hear, but I pray that when you leave here, like, if you get anything out of this, you'll catch the scripture right here. In Luke 12, and normally I don't do this, but this is how much I want you to understand this. In Luke 12, verse 34, it says this. It says, for where your treasure is, there your what? What's that one? It says, there your heart will be also. Now, I want you to understand, this is in red. This is Jesus speaking. It means it's important. The red letters, you pay a little more attention to those. Not that you don't pay attention to all of them, but when they're in red, it's like, hey, this is important. He also uses this in Matthew 6. But he says, for where your treasures are, there your heart will be also. What is that like? What does that even mean? What is he telling me? Your priorities are your treasures. The things that you see in this life, the things you value most, those are your treasures of life. And where your treasure is, there's where your heart is going to be. Now, ultimately, he's speaking about heaven when he says this. When he's talking about things not of this world. And really, I could pick up in about 4 verses before that. Liz, could you actually pull? I didn't have that on there, but I do want to pick that up. I think it starts in about verse 31 or 32. It says, but seek his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. Do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give to the poor. Provide purses for yourselves that will not wear out, a treasure in heaven that will never fail, where no thief comes near and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, your heart will be also. there's the full context of it, because that's when I don't ever want to pull one single scripture out and just say, here's this. I want you to see it. But where your treasure is, there your heart is. It's so easy for us to say, man, this is where it's at. This is what's going on. Think about this. Here's some real world experience for you. Let's say that you're going to town and you haven't ate in about 4 hours and you're hungry and you're not hungry, you're hangry. Like you're at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like you are ready to eat. Maybe 5 hours if you're taking a long break. But you go and you pick up some food from town. And you say, well, look, I got some friends back at the house, or I got to be somewhere. I can't eat it right now, but I'm going to go pick it up. And maybe you just got out of the parking lot or whatever, and all of a sudden a wonderful driver in front of you forgets to use his turn signal and remembers his turn is right here, and all of a sudden, hey, slam on the brakes and they cut one right here. What's the first thing you do? Like, you like pulling one of these right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, right here, like hand over, and sometimes, you assume that you're going to, like, put your hand over, if you got your kid right here or whatever, but sometimes you can only pick one, and I'm not going to tell which one some of you are going to pick, but why do you do that? It's because you value what that food is. Like, that means something to you. You are ready to eat. Somebody says, let me out of here, I'm ready to eat right now. You're ready. That it has value to you. It means something to you. And let me ask you this. Did you ever think about it when you did it? It was instinct. It just happened. I'll tell you right now, because I do it all the time. Like my mom used to, Mama was a good mom, so like she put her hand over me. Like she would do it. I was like, what are you doing? But when I was a kid and I was driving the seat, even if I was in the back seat, like she stuck her hand out because she was trying to protect me, even though I don't know really how much that's going to save me. But anyway, it was instinct. Anytime that I stick my hand over there, and like whether I got pizza in the front seat or I got God's chicken, Chick-fil-A, praise the Lord, but whatever it is, like I'm making sure like I protect it. And I don't have to think about it. Never once does it cross my mind, because by the time I thought about it, it was already happened. It already, like, by the time if I had to think and say, oh, I need to do this, like, it's already in the floor. Without a doubt. Like, because my wonderful driver in front of me forgot how to use a blinker and remembered where their turn was at the last minute. What you value most is lived, not spoken. Because here's the thing. Where you find your value is where you'll find your focus. Because where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Because what you focus on, the things you value, the things that are priority in your life is where your mind is going to be 95% of the time. If you value work over everything, guess what you're always going to think about? Work. If you value that vacation that's coming up in a few weeks, what are you going to think about 95% of the time? Your priorities, your values, whatever it stands in your priority list is going to be where your focus is. Because, and like I said, I'm going to say it over and over and over, where your treasure is, your heart will be also. Because it goes with the net, and like I said, like where's security at? Because I may like need y'all to get out of here after I say this right here. This goes for the good and the bad. If you focus more on what people think about you than you care about anything else, it's become a priority in your life. If you focus on what everybody's going to say when I kill a big buck more than you focus on the kingdom, it's stepped up. Your priorities have changed. Like I said, where's security at? Your priorities, they're lived, not spoken. And that happens because it's where your focus is. Whatever it is, I'll be willing to say that 95, 99% of people that aren't sitting in this room right now and haven't heard this message would never say that what somebody else thinks about me is a priority in my life. I could almost 95%. I'm not a statistician or whatever it's called. I took a statistic class one time, but I don't know the exact statistics on this. But I would be guaranteeing you that 95% of people, I know for sure, I would never never say, if somebody said, "What are your priorities?" "Oh yeah, I value how much people think about me." No, I'm not putting that on there. What do you think I am? Crazy? My kids just said yes. I just want y'all to realize that. My youth kids, I don't have kids. Clarify. For this exact reason. Your focus will determine what your priority is. If all you are doing is focused on how many likes you get on Facebook, how many likes you get on Instagram, what somebody else is going to say about you, it is a priority in your life. Here's the fun part. Y'all know me. I about like scared y'all with mac and cheese one time. Let's see, I'm gonna need some room for this. Does anybody have a fire extinguisher handy? No, I'm just kidding. You so you think. We tried to light something on fire during Easter up here. Oh, look, I walked like 6 miles of that turkey shoot, and I'm feeling it this morning. I'm telling you that. The gym. Look, if I would have skipped leg day, some of you will catch this reference here in a second. If I would have skipped leg day, I wouldn't have been able to do yesterday. Let me see. Hold on. Woo. So, let me show you something. Woo. Spike ball, my kids. Tell you what, y'all going to have to realize when I say kids, I'm talking about youth. Okay, if you're in the youth, you're one of my kids. They know this. They literally bombard my office like it's theirs anyway. Here's the thing. Where your focus is going to be all that you look at, all that you do during the day. Whenever you think, whenever you go, whenever, like, whether, hey man, TV is something in there. Can everybody see this? Let me put this out here. All the stuff you do during the day, they're going to hate me when they have to clean in here. It's all these things are stuff you add to your life daily. You do it and you do it and you do it. And while these things aren't always bad, like, man, this is like, man, watching TV, man, this is like checking social media. Like, this stuff is not always, it's not always a bad thing. Man, making money, it's not always a bad thing. But here's the problem: is when I do this right here, my day can only hold so much. Okay, my day, there's only so much to it that it can hold. I want to share a quick story with you right now. That I used to, my quiet time, my reading time was before I went to bed every night. Okay, that was a time that I said, hey, I'm gonna spend in there. But let me tell you something. When I first started that, It didn't last very long because, man, before long I would come in and I'd been at church all day, or we'd been doing something with the church, or the kids had something, or I was gone, like whatever it was, and I came in before I realized it. Like I was tired, and I would come in and I would say, okay, well I've got to read, I got to do this, like it's part of it. But here's the thing: is when I put this on here right here, before I realized it, even though I was trying to do something good, I didn't have room for it to happen. I was not retaining anything I read. I'm not saying if maybe your time at night is when you soak stuff in, but I'm telling you a personal story right here. For me, I don't like when I get inside and I'm finally done for the night, my mind is shot. I'm not anywhere in a state to grasp and to comprehend what I'm fixing to read. Because let me tell you something, even though God was a priority in my life, I was using other things first. And I was giving Him what was left at the end of the day. And even though, sometimes maybe I would catch a little bit of it, man, I wasn't getting all of it out of it that I could have. But let me show you a difference right here. Is that, and maybe you've seen this illustration, so I don't want to lose you if you say, I already know what He's fixing to do, because there's a little bit of a twist to it. But here's the thing is, when I realized, man, I'm not where I need to be, and I said, okay, well look, before I do anything else, on days that I know, I understand days change up and you think, well, I'm going to have time. On days that I know especially that I've got more going on that day than what I planned, when I have a meeting at 7:30 in the morning or at 7, and I'm like, man, and I know that I've got a day full of stuff, I had to make a change. So what I started doing was I started getting up earlier than I knew I needed to. And let me tell y'all something, that is a struggle for me because I love sleep, and some of y'all know that. But sleep became such a priority that it was overtaking. Sleep was over here. I mean, this is something that I was putting into my life more than, hey, during that day when I could have, when I said, oh, I'm just going to do my quiet time at night. Well, I took a nap in the middle of the day or something like that. So this falls in here too. But when I take this and I say, okay, well, the first thing I'm going to do when I get up in the morning is that I'm going to read, because that's ultimately that's my priority. But then I have some other things. But then when I say, man, okay, family is a big priority in my life. Hey, my job is a priority, and whatever else that is important, and whatever your priority is, hey, it's there. Y'all didn't see that. Butterfingers. When I put it there, and let me show the difference. For maybe you haven't seen this. I'm not going to assume you have. When I put these things, and I make sure that my priorities are in line, that I put the stuff in my life I know needs to be there, well, hey, the Instagram, the TV, hey, it's not always a bad thing. Making money, man, that's not always a bad thing. It's when it becomes such a part of your life that none of this other stuff fits in here, because now that whatever else I need, that it's coming in here and it's getting here, and whatever overflows doesn't matter. This stuff does not matter because it's not near the priority that this is. If this stuff flows over, oh well, who cares? But if this stuff over here flows over, man, I just lost a major priority in my life. Because it was not in the spot it needed to be in my life. If I want the gym to be a part of my life, I can't put it up here. I've got to put it down here. I've got to make sure that it's part of it. Whew. Get me going this morning. Because what you put into your life, it's evident. It's shown. You can say all you, and I'm going to leave this right here just so y'all can all, because I'm going to go back to this, I'm sure. Think about this. Matthew 6:33 says this. He says, seek the kingdom first. I'm not just doing that because I think it's a good idea. I'm not putting God first over here in this container because I think it's a good idea. Well, I do think it's a good idea, but I'm not doing it just because of that reason. I'm doing it because it's biblical. I'm doing it because God tells me to. He says, seek the kingdom. What does it mean to seek? It means to go after. It means to put above everything. It means to go towards this. And what do I have to do to go towards something? I have to I can't be headed towards other things first. I have to be going towards whatever. If I'm seeking the bathroom, I'm not looking for the classrooms over here. I'm looking for the bathroom. If I'm seeking the bathroom, I'm not looking for the parking lot. I'm looking to go to the bathroom. Yeah, I went there. When you seek, you're looking for it. It is a priority in your life. Oh. Because here's the thing. Like I said, this other stuff in your life, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It doesn't always mean that, man, working and watching TV and checking Facebook and social media, that's not always a bad thing. Now, it becomes a bad thing when that's all you do. And when it takes precedence over everything else. Because here's the thing. My priorities, they determine my next step. What I'm seeking after, what I'm going after, what I'm looking for, that's, like I said, if I'm looking for the bathroom back there, I'm not stepping towards the parking lot. I'm stepping towards the back. If I'm looking for God, I'm stepping towards Him and I'm doing what it takes to get there. You say, I don't know how to get there. When I'm seeking the kingdom first, when I'm looking for these things, I'm not just walking. Talks about in Psalms 23 that He makes our path straight. Because for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And you're going to go after where your treasure is. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. Where your treasure is where you will go. Don't close your Bible or put anything up just yet. Because there's something else I'm going to give you. But I want you to think about this. We all know the old stories of a pirate in the pirate map, and they're all, what are they going for? What are they searching for on the map? There's like an X or whatever marks a spot. What are they looking for? Their treasure. Every step they take is going along where this map tells them to go, even if it takes them through difficult times. How many movies have been made that they are given a map at the very start, and the whole entire movie is them going through trials and difficulties and things, but they are going because they believe the treasure is at the end of it. Right? They know that's where they're headed. And they know they're going to have to go through some stuff to get there. But they're okay because where their heart is where the treasure is. Their heart is with the treasure. Because here's the thing. Some of you don't know where your heart is this morning. When you find your heart, you'll find your priorities. And that's a tough thing. Where is my heart this morning? Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, I'm going to go back to this. Some of us can say that my priorities are this, this, and this. Of course, yeah, man, my priority is God, my priority is family, my priority is the gym. I can say that all day long. I can say they're this, this, and this. When in reality, they're that, and that. 100%. Hey, I've been there. I'm not just I'm like, what's it called, preaching to the choir? I don't remember. I am telling you this because I've been through it. I didn't know where my priorities were a couple years ago. But if I'm going to make something important in my life, if I'm going to make it a priority, I've got to take steps to do that. As the worship team comes back this morning, I was really, really thinking about like my entire thought process on this entire message of where I was going to be at. Like I said, keep your bulletin out for a second because I haven't got to it where I want to be just yet. If you'll actually look at the back of your bulletin, if you'll flip it around, you'll see something. I want to challenge you to do something. And this is going to be tough. I'll be honest with you. But let me tell you something. If you won't be real with yourself, nobody else ever will be. What are your current priorities? And I'm going to tell you this. Don't fill out the middle section second. And you can do this as we finish up service, or as they play. Because some of you, like if you're like me, then when I walk out of here, like I'll get busy and I'll forget I ever had it in my pocket. Then when I get here next Sunday, I'm like, oh man, I forgot. I wonder what I did with it. But where are your current priorities? And then see what do my priorities need to be? Where's my goal at? My priorities are here, but they need to get there. And this is the spot we forget so much. And this is where me and my mentor work over and 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 over again. He knows where I'm at. I'm real with him. Even if I don't like it and he don't like it, I'm real with him. And I tell him where I want to be. I tell him where I feel like God's calling me to be. And he prays on where he thinks I need to be as well. And we don't talk about here or there, except for about 30 seconds every week. We're here and there. Where we spend an hour and a half talking every week is in the middle. How do I get from here to there? Because I can say all day long that I want to do this, or I want to be that, or this is my goal in life. But if I don't know how to get there, if I don't have steps to take to get there, if I don't have the steps to take from living this life right here, where all I do is put stuff in my life over and over again, then I have no way to get to doing this right here. And everybody's steps are different. Every single one of you. You have different priorities in your life. Ultimately, I hope it's seeking the kingdom first. But whatever your other these small priorities, these smaller things are. Man, maybe it's your family. Man, that's a priority in my life. Maybe it's going to the gym. Maybe whatever it is, it's a priority in your life. But it's not making it right now. It should be a priority, and you say it's a priority, but man, it's not making the cut. If you don't know how to get from here to there, let's go back to the pirate map. If all they had was an X on a piece of paper that didn't tell them how to get through there, they wouldn't have a clue in the world how they were going to get there, would they? All they would do is be searching on a path. They don't know where their next step is going. But at the end of the day, you say, man, this is always love the acronym that they use for Bible. Biblical instructions before leaving earth. One of the first things I was ever taught as a Christian. You want to know what to do? Go look for it. And if it's a priority in your life, you may not just find it, but you're going to have to search for it. It may not just jump out to you all the time. But when you look and you say, and you're like, where am I at? Because here's the thing. For where your treasure is, your heart will be also. Straight up. I was most mornings before I preach, and I'll be honest with you, this hit me hard this morning. I'm gonna have to keep from choking up to get through this. I go back there, and I sit, my office is kind of in the very back there, and I kind of tell people like on mornings like this, like, hey, I'm going to my quiet time, because normally my office gets bombarded like a preschool playhouse. And I say, hey man, I'm quiet time, and I have this weird little thing where I can cut my lights off, and I have some other lights that kind of go in there where where there's no other, where I can't look around because I'm ADD bad. I can be squirrel in a heartbeat. So I kind of cut my lights down, and I cut these other lights on where I focus. And a song came on this morning. And it says, God, the waymaker, the promise keeper, the miracle worker, the light in my darkness. That is who my God is. And I don't know if you believe that this morning or not. But when I sat back there in my office this morning going over stuff I had already had prepared, he said, do you believe it? Do you believe that I keep my promise? Do you believe that I'm going to make a way for whatever it is? Do you believe that I can work miracles that nobody else can do? And I kind of sat there in awe. I honestly believe this before I close right here. I don't believe God's looking for perfection. I believe He's looking for obedience. It says we all mess up. Do you realize why the Israelites wandered for 40 years in the wilderness? The short answer is that they were disobedient. I look at it as like they didn't have their priorities straight. I honestly believe you can miss some of God's biggest blessings because you're not focused on seeking the kingdom first. Your priorities are not in line.